Good morning, students. So, in the last class, we started the third chapter in the business studies, private, public, and global enterprises, and we learn about the concept of the business organization. And last chapter, we finished the different forms of organization, and hope that you all thorough in that part. Okay, so and we started in this chapter learned about the introduction part of the enterprises and the forms of organizing, how the public sector enterprises are formed, and we learned some of the differences, what is the different sectors of organizing the business enterprises. So there is a three type of sectors. First one is the public sector and the private sector, and we learned some of the that is the key points of public, what is public sectors, and what is the characteristics of public sector, and what are the private sectors, and what are the important characteristics of private sectors. Okay, and today we are going to study about the topics, that is the forms of organizations which is coming under the public enterprises. Okay, so there are the three types of forms of organization which is coming under the public enterprises, and they are the departmental undertaking, statutory corporation, and government company. Okay, so first we are going to study about what is departmental undertaking, and what are the important features of departmental undertaking, and what are the merits and limitations of departmental undertakings. Okay, so first we have to know what is departmental undertaking. So this is the oldest and the most traditional form of organizing, and it is one of the public enterprises, and is the one of the that is oldest form of organizing, business organizing sector. So these enterprises are established as the department of ministry and are considered part or as extension of the ministry. So these enterprises are working under the control of the department of the ministries. Okay, so the government functions through these departments, and the activities performed by them are integral part of the functioning of the government. So these enterprises are working under the government, and the government functions through these departments, and the activities performed by them are integral part. So all the activities which is performed by them or the integral part of the functioning of the government. So it is one of the integral part of what is the department undertaking is considered as the integral part of the government functioning, that is government functions. Okay, so they have not been considered as autonomous or independent institutions. So public enterprises are not considered as the independent institutions. Okay, so they are acting through the officer of the government and its employees or the government employees. So the persons who are they are employed under the control of the government, and they are employed as a government employees because they are working under the control of the government. So these undertakings may be under the central or the state government, and the rules of the central and state government are applicable. So these enterprises under the control of the rules and regulations of the central or the state government. Some of the examples are railways and postal department and telegraph department. Okay, so this is the introduction part of the departmental undertakings. Okay, so next one is the what are the main characteristics of departmental undertakings. The first one is the funding of these enterprises is coming directly from the government treasury, and an annual appropriation from the budget of the government. So the annual all the expenses which is carried out by the and this organization is under the control of the government, and it is all the fund which is needed for the that is going the functioning of this enterprises. The funds are needed, no, so the all the funds are distributed from the government, directly from the government. So is there is any revenue or income which is earned by this is also to be paid into the treasury. Okay, so they are subject to accounting and audit controls applicable to other government activities, and the employees of the enterprises or government servants and the recruitment and conditions of services are the same as that of other employees directly under the control of the government. So they are they are headed by the, so these enterprises are headed by Indian Administrative Service, that is IAS officers. Okay, and civil servants who are transferred from one ministry to the another ministry. Okay, so the employees of the enterprises are considered as the government servants, and their recruitment, that is the employment and the conditions, or what is the condition of the service, is the same as that of the employees directly other employees, is same as that of the other employees which is directly under the control of the government. Okay, so it is, next one is, it is generally considered to be a major subdivision of the government department. So it is one of the major division of the government department. Okay, and they are accountable means responsible to the ministry, since the management is directly under the concerned ministry. So they is responsible to the ministry, since because the management control is under the control of the government, so this enterprises is responsible under the government department. Okay, and some of the merits of departmental undertakings are, so these undertakings facilitate the parliament to exercise effective control over their operations. So it is very helpful for the, because it is coming under the control of the ministry, so it is very helpful for the parliament to exercise or to carry out their control effectively. Okay, and next one is this ensure a high degree of public accountability. Public accountability means it is responsibility. So any revenue which is earned by the enterprises is directly go to the treasury, and hence it is one of the important source of income for the government. Okay, so where the national security is concerned, this form is most suitable. So when we are considering the national security, this form of enterprises is very suitable, because it is under the direct control and it is direct supervision of the concern of the ministry. Okay, so these are all the merits of departmental undertaking. Since there are merits, even there is more merits. Okay, even there are more advantages of departmental undertakings. There is some of the limitations are also under this organization. So we are going to see some of the drawbacks of a departmental undertaking. So first one is, it is failed to provide the flexibility, because the direct control is coming from the government. So the activities, all the activities and the rules and regulations are is under the control of the government. So they cannot able to take the decisions by themselves. Each and every decisions will be taken only under the control of the ministry. So it is failed to provide the flexibility. Okay, so which is very essential for the smooth functioning of the business organization. So it is one of the drawback. Okay, and next one is, the employees or department head of departments of this undertakings are not allowed to take independent decisions. I already explained, no. So they are not having any having any rights to take the independent decisions without the approval of the ministry. Okay, so there is definitely there is a delay in the matters of decisions, and which is immediately required by the other departments. So it is considered as one of the drawback. And next one is, these enterprises are unable to take the advantages of business opportunities. Okay, so it is also another them to take risky ventures. So these enterprises are working under the control of the ministry, so it is very they are not able to take the advantages of the different business opportunities. Okay, so there is a writ tapism in day-to-day operations, and no actions can be taken unless it goes through the proper channel of authority. So all the decisions are coming under the control of this government. So no actions can be taken. Only the actions or decisions can be taken only through the proper channel of authority members. Okay, so it is considered as one of the drawback. So the next one is, there is a lot of political interference through the ministry. So there is a lot of political interference, means the political parties are playing that is the ruling parties have the majority members. So all the decisions which is coming, they are having the major influence of taking the decisions, no? So it is one of the drawback of this enterprises. So next one is these organizations are usually insensitive to consumer needs and not provide adequate services to them. So they are also, it is also one of the major drawback, that is customer satisfactions and the services provided are not adequate, and it is inadequate services are provided to the consumers, because all the decisions can be um, all the decisions can be decided only on the basis of the control of the government department. So it is one of the drawback of this organization. Okay, so the next one is statutory corporation. What is by statutory corporation? It is also coming under the heading of public enterprises, which is coming into the existence by the special act of the parliament. So this act defines its powers and functions and rules and regulations, which is governing its employees and relationship with the government department. So what is the main aim of this act? We have to know for each and every heading, we have to know what is the main objective of the departmental undertaking and what is the main objective of the statutory corporation. So it is working under the control of the special act of the parliament, and main objective of this act is to define its powers and functions, rules and regulations, which is governing its employees. Okay, so this is also the corporate body which is created by the legislature with the defined powers and functions. So it is also it is a corporate body which is controlling, which is acting under the control of the government, and is financially independent with a clear control over a specific area. So this enterprises has financially has one of the main benefit, and it is financially independent with a clear control over a specific, only on a specific area which is already decided by the government. Okay, so it is a corporate person, has a capacity of acting in its own name. So it is they can able to act the enterprise, that is carry out the business activities and all the activities in their own name. Okay, and therefore they have the power of the government and the considerable amount of operating flexibility of private enterprises. So it is also one of the merits of statutory corporation. So they have the power of the government and considerable amount of operating flexibility of private enterprises, and they can able to shift, that is there is a flexible change, that is flexibility means changes as per the changes in the environment. They can able to change their public enterprises into the private enterprises. Okay, so this is the introduction part of statutory corporation. Next one is, what are the important features of statutory corporation? So first one is set up under the Act of Parliament and is governed by the provisions of the Act, and this Act is mainly define the objects, powers and privileges of the statutory corporation, and is wholly owned by the state and has the financial responsibility and has the power to appropriate its profit, and at the same time the state also has to, if there is any laws, they have to bear the laws, and it is a body corporate and can be sued, enter into the contract and acquire the property. They have the right to enter into the contract, and they have the right to acquire means purchase the property in their own name. And this type of enterprises is an independently financed, so it can obtain the funds from borrowing their from the government or from the public through the revenues which is derived from the sale of the goods and services. So what is the main aim? That is how they can able to increase the revenue only by means of borrowing the funds from the public, and also through the revenue which is derived. Revenue means income. Income will become only by the sale of goods and services. So it has the authority to use, and they are having the rights to use that revenue which is coming from the sale of goods and services. And statutory corporation is not subject to same accounting and audit procedures applicable. It is also not concerned with the central budget of the government. So it is not coming under the control of the same accounting, that is accounting and audit procedures which is applicable. So to this, so they can also able to have their own decisions regarding the accounting procedures, auditing procedures and all. Okay, so they have the own rights to take the decisions, and they are not completely coming under the control of the government department. Okay, and the employees of these enterprises are not the government or civil servants, and are not governed by the government rules and regulations. So in the department undertakings, all the employees are coming under the control of the government, and they are considered as a government servant. But in this type, this employees in these enterprises, employees are not the government employees or civil servants, and they are not governed by the government rules and regulations. So the conditions of service of the employees are governed by the provisions only. They have to do their service only as per the provisions of the act. Okay, so the next one is the merits. What are some of the important merits of the statutory corporations? The first one is they enjoy the independence in their functioning, and there is a high degree of flexibility, and there is they are free from the undesirable government regulations, because they are not coming under the control of the government departments. No, so the funds of this organization do not come from the central budget, and the government does not interfere in their financial activities, and all the decisions, including the incomes and receipts which is received from the public, or from the sale of other goods and services. So all the decisions can be taken by themselves inside the business enterprises, and it's autonomous organization, and they can able to frame their own policies and procedures within the powers which is assigned under the provisions of the act, and also provide some of the issues and matters which require prior approval of the particular ministry. So it is a valuable instrument for the economic development. Statutory corporation is a valuable instrument and has the power of government, which is combined with the entity of the, so it is combined with the private enterprises. So there is some of the limitations also. So next we are going to see some of the limitations of this enterprises. First one is the statute does not enjoy the as much operational flexibility. All the actions are subject to certain to many rules and regulations which is coming under the provisions of act. And government and the political enterprises has also been a major decisions, or where the funds are, so all the decisions which are taken by these enterprises had to submit to the certain departments, that is the major decisions will be taken only by the government, and there is some of the political interferences, interference in this all the enterprises. There is a political interferences in taking the decisions regarding the funds which is where they are collected, and where they are spending the amount and all. Okay, so this is some of the drawbacks in this enterprises. And when there is a dealing with the public, rampant corruption exists. So some of the corruptions also be happening when they are mainly depending upon the funds which is received from the public. Automatically there is some of the frauds and corruptions maybe exist in their functionings of the these enterprises. Okay, so the government has a practice of appointing advisors. So the government has the practice, they are appointing the advisors to the corporation board. This curbs the freedom of the corporation in entering into the contract and other decisions. So if there is any disagreement, the matter is referred to the government for final decisions. Okay, so if there is any malpractices which is happening, and the decisions cannot be taken by them, they can approach the government, and they will appoint the advisors, and they can enter into the contract, and other decisions can also be taken. And if there is any disagreement, the matter will be referred to the government in order to take the final decision. Okay, so the next one is the government company. So it is also one of the public sector enterprises which is established under the Companies Act 2013, which is registered and governed by the provisions of Act, and is established for purely business purpose. So what is the main aim of establishment? It is one purely for the business purposes, and in true spirit that is compete with the company in the private sector. Okay, so next one is according to the section 245 of the Companies Act 2013, the government company means any company. This is the main feature of the government company. What is the main feature? So any company which has not less than 51 percentage of the paid up capital. Okay, so any company which not less than which not less than 51 percentage of the paid up capital means the amount which is received by from the public by issuing these shares to the public, no. So they will receive the amount as a capital, and it is called as a paid up capital, the capital which is paid by the shareholders or other public by means of purchasing the shares from the company. It is called as a paid up capital, and if it is not less than 51 percentage, it is held to of the paid up capital is held by the central government or by any state government, or partly by central and partly by one or more state government, and includes a company which is subsidiary of the government company. So under the Companies Act 2013, there is no change in the definition of a company. So all the provisions of the Act are applicable to the government companies unless otherwise specified. So only if there is any specification, there will be changes in the provisions of Act. Okay, so the government company may be formed as a private limited company or a public limited company. So there are certain provisions which are applicable to the appointment or retirement of the directors and other managerial persons. So there is some of the provisions that is allotted and which is applicable, and these provisions are applicable to the appointment and also the retirement of the directors and other managerial personnel. Personnel means employees. So it is clear that the government exercises control over the paid up share capital of it. So the major control is only on the paid up share capital of the company. So shares of the company are purchased in the name of the President of India. So shares of the company are purchased only in the name of the President of India. And since the government is a major shareholder and exercises control over the management of these companies. So who is the shareholder? Government is a shareholder and they are exercising their control over the management of this company. So the control is who is the control? Government is the control on which factor? On the management factor of these companies. So they are called as the government companies. Understood? Next one is the what are the important features of government companies? So it is created under the Companies Act 2013 and any previous company law. So they can file a suit in the court of law against any third party. This is another important feature. And the company can also enter into contract and they can purchase the property in their own name. And the management of company is regulated or controlled by the provisions of the Companies Act. And employees or of this company are appointed according to their own rules and regulations as contained in the memorandum and articles of association of the memorandum and articles of association of the company. Means it includes all the rules and regulations of the company and terms and conditions. What is the share capital, paid up capital, equity share capital, preference share, what is the percentage of dividend, how many shareholders, who is the board of directors, when is the meeting is to be conducted. All the particulars should be included in the memorandum and articles of association. Okay, so the main documents of the company. So it containing the objects of the company and its rules and regulations. So these companies are exempted from the accounting and audit. So is exempted means there is no such much control on the accounting procedures and auditing procedures. So the auditor is appointed by the central government and the annual report should be presented in the parliament or in the state legislature. Okay, so the government company is mainly obtain their funds from the government shareholdings and other private shareholders. So it is also permitted to raise the funds from the capital market. Capital market is a place where the shares or other assets are sold to the public. Okay, so it is called as the capital market. So the funds are raised only from the government shareholdings and also from the other private shareholders. Okay, so these are all the important features of the government company. Next one is what are the important merits of this government company. So it is established by only by fulfilling the requirements of the Indian Companies Act. A separate act in the parliament is not required, so it is not necessary to frame the separate act for the government company, and has a separate legal entity which is apart from the government. So it is enjoys autonomy in all the manage, so it has a full freedom of enjoying the management decisions and take all the decisions and actions only as per the business procedures and business operating activities, and these companies by providing goods and services at reasonable prices. So another important point, and it is having the right to control the market and make the business practices very healthy. Okay, so these are all the important merits of government company. So next one is some of the limitations of government company, or since the government is the only shareholder, so the already we studied in the futures, government is the only shareholder, that is the government, the funds are raised only from the government shareholdings, is the only shareholder, the provisions of act does not have much relevance. So there is the share capital will be very low when comparing to the other enterprises. Okay, because the government is the only shareholder, and where the constitutional responsibility which a company financed by the government should have, it is not answerable directly to the parliament. Okay, it is also the another limitations of the government company. So the government being the sole means only one person, there is the only one person is the government, and the government is the only shareholder. The management, the administration results in the hands of the government, so there is the control and administration management is coming only on the hands of the government. So the main purpose of the government company is registered like other companies is defeated. Okay, so defeated means that is exploiting, no, so it's registered like other companies. The main purpose of the government companies registered like other companies. Okay, so these are all the important limitations of the government company. Okay, so today's it's enough. Next class we will start the next topic, that is a changing role of public sector. What are the changing role of public sector? And the changing role of public sector is a very important heading in this chapter. And today we discuss about the what are all the topics we discussed, and we studied up to this concept. We studied the introduction part of public, private and global enterprises, and started the forms of organizing the public sector enterprises, and we studied about some of the important introduction part, and there is a flow chart, study properly. And there is a three forms of public sector enterprises. First one is the department undertaking, statutory corporation, and the government company. And we studied about the introduction part of each enterprises and the important features, merits and limitations of each enterprises. Okay, so study the topic up to the topic we finished in today's class, and take some other new points from this is today's activity. This is today's activity is you have to study the concept, and you have to take, that is some of the other new points. This is because these points is a old there is a old concept, and we have to update that the topic, no, so we have to take many important points related to this topic. So just you take some of the new important points, just you take the questions. First question is, what is meant by private enterprises, public enterprises and global enterprises? Give the few examples and with the pictures. Okay, this is the activity, and you have to take some of the pictures. And what are all the forms of organizing public sector enterprises? And write the draw the flow chart, and give the introduction part, and explain the concept of forming enterprises, that is what is the forms of organizing public sector enterprises, and what is departmental undertakings, and give some of examples of department undertakings, and give some what is that take some of the case studies of each organizations, and you have to study the case study, and you have to explain the concept, which type of organization is carried out in this study. Okay, just try to take the case study for each type of organization. Okay, and write some of the important points which is not in the book. You have to refer the net, and you have to take some of the additional points which is not in the book relating to the introduction part, important features, merits and limitations. I am repeatedly saying the points should not be in the book. You have to take some of the new concept of each topic. Okay, and so should have the thorough study. You have to analyze the topic, and you have to analyze, and you have to understood, and you have to interpret the result what you learn from that topic. Okay, so for each topic you have to take the some of the other important points from the net, and you have to write in your classwork note and take the photocopy and send and attached in the assignment area. Okay, so for each topic you have to take the important points which is not in the book from the refer the net, and there is no more reference in the net. So just you take some of the important points and write, put the heading and write other important points related to the introduction. Put the heading, put the main heading, introduction part, futures, and merits and limitations for each type of sector. Okay, report undertaking, statutory corporation and government company. Okay, so understand the I hope that you all understood the concept. So keep the thorough study in this concept, and next class we will start the role of changing role of public sector. Okay, so next class we will start the next topic. So be thorough in this and finish your assignment and submit it. Okay, thank you students.